Here's a basic overview of good practice when looking after your records. These techniques, implemented early on, will help keep your records in good shape and slow deterioration, particularly important if you intend to deposit them in an archive in the future and preserve your professional legacy. First, let's consider location. Think about where you keep your records. Ideally, you want somewhere that has a stable environment that's dry and clean with minimal light, particularly if the material is going to be held in that location for a long period. Extreme fluctuations in temperature and relative humidity will damage your records. Keeping your material in an attic can be risky as conditions change from hot to cold very quickly, which can cause your records to warp or buckle. You also want a location which isn't too dry or too damp. Mould thrives in humid conditions, and mould is a big concern as it can spread so easily amongst paper-based material. So avoid locations like attics, basements, garages, shipping containers, kitchens, areas next to water sources and external walls. A room facing north with minimal light, with stable environmental conditions is ideal. Next, let's consider storage. What do you store your records in? Make sure any shelving or filing cabinets that you use are strong enough to take the weight of boxes of paper, which can be very heavy. Bankers' boxes are really absorbent and suck up any moisture, and therefore disintegrate after a few years. If they're piled on top of each other, this can lead to the whole stack collapsing. They also have holes in the side for handling, which let in dust and pests, and therefore don't protect the contents from the outside environment. For long-term storage, consider strong cardboard boxes and particularly ones with a closed lid. We use these archival boxes. They're strong, acid-free and lignin-free and have a close-fitting lid, which provides a buffer to the outside environment. Like mini strong rooms, they keep the light out and provide a much more stable environment for documents. Make sure you buy the right size boxes for your documents so that they fit comfortably inside without bending, folding or distorting the paper, making sure there's plenty of space to get the documents out without causing damage to the paper. And don't be tempted to overload the boxes. Store the boxes off the floor if you can, and make sure there's plenty of airflow around the boxes and shelves to prevent mould growth. So what's best to keep inside the boxes? This is the final layer of protection after location and storage, what we call protective enclosures. We'd recommend not using these sorts of plastic wallets to keep your documents in, as they can cause paper to deteriorate. Over time, the plastic will start to stick together, which could cause further damage to the contents. We use these acid-free folders for archival material. Ideally, you want to use archival quality materials that are acid-free and lignin-free that will protect your documents and slow deterioration. To save space and further damage to hole punched paper, rather than ring binders, you can use plastic treasury tags. For photographs, the most important thing is good handling practice. The oil and perspiration on our skin can leave traces on photographs which become more apparent over time. Ideally, you want to use nitrile gloves when handling photos and negatives. To reduce handling further, you can keep your photos in transparent archival polyester sleeves. We use these Melanex wallets, which are chemically inert and will not harm the contents. Do condition checks on your photo albums. Check for discoloration or for adhesives that were used in the mounting, which could potentially damage the photos. You may need to remove the photos or seek advice from a conservator. Other items to avoid include staples and paper clips as they rust. Avoid elastic bands as they perish. Try to get rid of any blue tack or white tack as this stains material. Adhesives can deteriorate over time, so avoid glue and sticky tape as it can cause all sorts of damage. It's important to label material as accurately as possible, from labelling boxes with the contents to additional info on the front of a folder or naming individuals in a photo. But always avoid pen when labelling material and stick to a soft pencil like a 2B. It's really helpful to keep a list of what you have, so a simple box list with the number of the box and what the contents are. This will help when accessing material, as excessive handling could potentially damage your documents. With careful handling and storage, your archive and the story it tells can continue to provide inspiration and enjoyment.